Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Read With Me. I am yours truly, Isabel Badell from Billionaireette. I am so pumped to actually start this whole new month with another amazing book and with the people's choice. Let's be honest. In our Billionaireette inner circle, in the community, we actually took a poll and we were able to choose which books we wanted to read for the month of February. And what's really powerful is like so many different really responses came up. But if you haven't checked out the last Read With Me sessions, we read this bad boy right here, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's the classic, like the classic book for financial intelligence, financial freedom, just the true fundamentals, right? Robert went on the overview of the overall financial literacy, terms and just the mindset, right? But this time around, the entire community was like, you know what? That was awesome. One. And then two, we want to actually dig deeper. So that's the cool thing. That's a really, really powerful part about being part of a community that is in alignment to growth, that is focused on growth and digging deeper within themselves and what they want to accomplish. So what we've decided on is the Cashflow Quadrant by yours truly, Robert. I love how Robert truly does recycle his headshots. He looks a little tanner in one, but that's that Photoshop. Shout out to you, Robert, always killing the game. So super excited to dive into Cashflow Quadrant Guide to Financial Freedom by yours truly, Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki, I'm so pumped. If you have your cup of tea, if you have your water, if you're drinking some wine to unwind, and take in some notes and read, go ahead and do so. I join you. I celebrate you. You are perfect. And we are here to consume information so we can really go into the world with a clear mind, an intentional mindset, and with intentional motives. So we can always, always increase our financial intelligence, which leads into financial freedom. With me? So, cheers to you. All right. So the first thing that we're going to dive into is actually the preface. So we wanted to actually do something different with this one. Instead of just starting with like the first chapter, we're actually going to start with the preface of Robert Kiyosaki, Cashflow Quadrant Guide to Financial Freedom. Okay? Without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Awesome. He starts with, what is your life's goal? What do you want to be when you grow up? That is the question most of us have been asked. I had many interests as a kid, and it was so easy to choose. If it sounded exciting and glamorous, I wanted to do it. I wanted to be the marine biologist, an astronaut, a marine, a ship's officer, a pilot, and a professional football player. I was fortunate enough to achieve 3 of those goals: a Marine Corps officer, a ship's officer, and a pilot. I knew I did not want to become a teacher, a writer, or an accountant. I did not want to be a teacher because I did not like school. I did not want to be a writer because I failed English twice. And I actually dropped out of my MBA program because I could not stand accounting. Ironically, now that I have grown up, I have become everything I never wanted to become. Although I disliked school, today I own an education company. I personally teach around the world because I love teaching. Although I failed English twice because I could not write, today I'm known as an author. My book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, was on the New York Times bestseller list for 7 years, and it is one of the top 3 best-selling books in the United States. The only books ahead of it is The Joy of Sex and The Road Less Traveled. Adding one more irony, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and my Cashflow board game are a book and a game with all about accounting, another subject that I personally struggled with. So, what does this have to do with the question, what is your goal in life? The answer is found in the very simple yet profound statement by Vietnamese monk Thich Nhat Hanh. The path is the goal. In other words, finding your own path in life is the goal in life. Your path is not your profession, how much money you make, or your title, or not even your successes or your failures. Finding your own path means finding out what you were put on this earth to do. What is your life's purpose? Why were you given the gift called life? And what is the gift you give back to life? Good question to ask. Looking back, I know going to school was not about finding my life's path. I spent 4 years in military school studying and training to be a ship's officer. If I had made a career sailing for the Standard Oil on their oil tankers, I would never have found my life path. If I had stayed in the Marines or had gone to fly for the airlines, I would never have found my life's path. Had I continued on a ship's officer or became an airline pilot, I would never have become an international best-selling author, been a guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show, written a book with Donald Trump, or even started an international education company that teaches entrepreneurship and investing throughout the world. So finding your own path. The Cashflow Quadrant book is important because it is about finding your path in life. As you know, most people are programmed early in life to go to school and get a job. School is about finding a job. That is what the E and the S quadrant are. It is not about finding your life's path. I realize there are many people who know exactly what they're going to do early in life. They grow up knowing that they are going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a musician, a golfer, or even an actor. We all have heard about these child prodigies, kids with exceptional talents, yet you may notice these are professions, not necessarily life's paths. So, how does one actually find their path in life? My answer is, I wish I knew. If I could wave my magic wand and your life's path would magically appear, I would. Since I do not have a magic wand, nor can I tell you what to do, the best thing I can do is to tell you what I did. And what I did was trust my intuition, my heart, and my guts. So, for example, in 1973, returning from the war, when my dad suggested that I go back to school, get my higher degrees, and work for the government, my brain went numb. My heart went heavy, and my gut said, "Go away. No way." When he suggested that I get my old job back with Standard Oil or fly for the airlines, again, my mind, my heart, my gut said no. I knew I was through with sailing and flying. Although they were great professions and the pay was pretty good, I was done with it. In 1973, at the age of 26, I was growing up. I had followed my parents' advice and gone to school, received my college degree, and had two professions, a license to be a ship's officer and a license to fly. The problem was they were professions and the dreams of a child. At the age of 26, I was old enough to know that education is a process. For example, when I wanted to be a ship's officer, I went to a school that turned people into ship's officers. And then when I wanted to fly, I went to a Navy school that prepared me for 2 years and that turned me into pilot. I was cautious about my next educational process. I wanted to know what I was going to become before I started my next educational process. Traditional schools had been good to me. I had achieved my childhood professions. Reaching adulthood was confusing because there was no signs of saying like, hey, this is the way. And you should get on this path because this is the best way for you. I knew that what I didn't want to do, but I did not know what I wanted to do. It would have been simple if all I wanted was a new profession. If I had wanted to be a medical doctor, I would have gone to a medical school. If I had wanted to become a lawyer, I would have gone to law school. But I knew there was more to life than just school to gain another professional credential. I did not realize it at the time, but that at 26 years of age, I was now looking for my path in life, not my next profession. That's strong. A different education. In 1973, in my last year of active duty flying for the Marine Corps, when I was stationed near home in Hawaii, I knew I wanted to follow in my rich dad's footsteps. While in the Marines, I signed up for real estate courses and business courses on the weekends, preparing to become an entrepreneur in the B and I quadrants. At the same time, upon a friend's recommendation of a friend, I signed up for a personal development course, hoping to find out who I really was. A personal development course is a non-traditional education because I was actually not taking it for credits and grades. I did not know what I was going to learn, and I did when I signed up for real estate courses. All I knew was that it was time to take courses to find out about me. In my first weekend course, the instructor drew this simple diagram on the flip chart. Interesting. So that is the first thing that Robert learned, this particular chart. Right in the center is spiritual, then it goes into emotional, then mental, then physical. And there's rings around it. With the diagram complete, the instructor turned and said, to develop into a whole human being, we need mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual education. Listening to her explanation, it was clear to me that traditional schools were primarily about developing students mentally. That is why so many students who do well in school do not do well in real life, especially the world of money. I would love to know, put it in the comments if you were a great student, like getting A's all throughout your college or, college or high school or, whatever. If you were a great student, put it in the chat or put it in the comments saying like, yes, I got good grades in school, or yes, I was a straight A student and I got all my stars. Let us know. Or if you weren't, let us know as well. Would love to know. As the course progressed over the weekend, I discovered why I disliked school. I realized that I loved learning but hated school. Traditional education was a great environment for the A students, but it was not the environment for me. Traditional education was crushing my spirit, trying to motivate me with the emotion of fear, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of failing, and the fear of not getting a job. They were programming me to be an employee in the E or S quadrant. I realized that traditional education is not the place for a person who wants to be an entrepreneur in the B and I quadrants. This may be why so many entrepreneurs never finish school. Entrepreneurs like Thomas Edison, founder of the General Electric, Henry Ford, founder of Ford Motor Company, Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, Walt Disney, founder of Disneyland, and Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook. As the day went on and the instructor went deeper and deeper into these 4 types of personal development, I realized I had spent most of my life in a very harsh educational environment. After 4 years of an all-male military academy and 5 years as a Marine pilot, I was a very strong mentally and physical person. As a Marine pilot, I was strong emotionally and spiritually, but all on the macho male development side. I had no gentle side, no female energy. After all, I was trained to be a Marine Corps officer, emotionally calm under pressure, prepared to kill, and spiritually prepared to die for my country. If you ever saw the movie Top Gun starring Tom Cruise, you get a glimpse into the masculine world and bravado of military pilots. I loved that world. It was I was really good in that world. It was a modern day world of knights and warriors. It was not a world for wimps. In the seminar, I went into my emotions and briefly touched my spirit. I cried a lot because I had a lot to cry about. I had done and seen things no one should ever be asked to do. During the seminar, I hugged a man, something I had never done before, not even my own father. On Sunday night, it was difficult leaving this self-development workshop. The seminar had been a gentle, loving, honest environment. Monday morning was a shock to once again be surrounded by young, egotistical pilots dedicated to flying, killing, and dying for their country. After that weekend seminar, I knew it was time for change. I knew developing myself emotionally and spiritually to become kinder, gentler, and more compassionate would make me a better person, but it would be the hardest thing that I could do. It went against all of my years at the military academy and flight school. I never returned to traditional education again. I had no desire to study for grades, degrees, promotions, or credentials ever again. From then on, if I did attend a course or school, I went to learn, to become a better person. I was no longer in the paper chase of grades, degrees, or credentials. Growing up in a family filled of teachers, your grades, the high school and the college you graduated from, and your advanced degrees were everything. Like the medals and ribbons on the Marines pilot's chest, advanced degrees and brand name schools were the status and the stripes that educators wore on their sleeves. In the minds, people who did not finish high school were the unwashed, the lost souls of life. Those with master degrees looked down on those with only bachelor degrees. Those with a PhD were held in reverence. At the age of 26, I knew I would never return to the world. Finding my path. I know some of you are now asking, why is he spending so much time talking about non-traditional education courses? The reason is, boys and girls, the first personal development seminar rekindled my love of learning, but not the type of learning that is taught in school. Once that seminar was over, I became a seminar junkie, going from seminar to seminar, finding out more about the connection between my body, my mind, and my emotions, and my spirit. The more I studied, the more curious about traditional education I became. I began to ask questions such as, why do so many kids hate school? Why do so few kids like school? Why are many highly educated people not successful in the real world? Does school prepare you for the real world? Why did I hate school but love learning? Why are most school teachers poor? Why do schools teach us little about money? Good questions to ask. Those questions led me to become a student of education outside of the hollowed walls of the school system. The more I studied, the more I understood why I did not like school and why school failed to serve most of its students, even the A students. My curiosity touched my spirit, and I became an entrepreneur in education. If not for this curiosity, I might never have become an author and a developer of financial education games. My spiritual education led me to a path in life. It seems that our paths in life are not found in our minds. Our path in life is to find out what is in our hearts. This does not mean a person cannot find their path in traditional education. I'm sure many do, but I am here saying that I doubt I would have found my path in traditional school. So why is a path so important? We all know people who make a lot of money, but hate their work. We also know people who do not make a lot of money and hate their work. And we all know people who just work for money. A classmate of mine from the Merchant Marine Academy also realized he did not want to spend his life at sea. Rather than set sail for the rest of his life, he went to law school after graduation, spending 3 more years becoming a lawyer and entering private practice in the S quadrant. He died in his early 50s. He had become very successful, but he was very unhappy as a lawyer. Like me, he had two professions. By the time he was 26, although he hated being a lawyer, he continued being a lawyer because he had a family, kids, a mortgage, and bills to pay. A year before he died, I met him at a class reunion in New York. He was a better man. All I do is sweep up behind rich guys like you. They pay me nothing. I hate what I do and who I work for. So I asked him, why don't you do something else? And he said, I can't afford to stop working. My first child is entering college. He actually, oh, this is so sad, but he actually died of a heart attack before she graduated. He made a lot of money via his professional training, but he was emotionally angry, spiritually dead, and soon his body followed. I realize this is an extreme example, but most people do not hate what they do as much as my friend did. Yet it illustrates the problem when a person is trapped in a profession and unable to find their path. To me, this is the shortcoming of traditional education. Millions of people leave school only to be trapped in jobs they do not like. They know something is missing in life. Many people are also trapped financially, earning just enough to survive, wanting to earn more, but not knowing what to do. Without awareness of the other quadrants, many people go back to school and look for new professions, or they pay raises in the E and S quadrant. They are simply just unaware of the world of the B and I quadrants. The reason for becoming a teacher. And he goes into my primary reason for becoming a teacher in the B quadrant was a desire to provide financial education. I wanted to make this education available to anyone who wanted to learn, regardless of how much money they had or what their grade point averages were. That is why the Rich Dad Company started the Cashflow game. The game teaches that this game can teach in places I could never go. The beauty of the game is that it was designed to have people teach people. There's no need for an expensive teacher or classroom. The Cashflow game is now translated in over 16 different languages, reaching millions of people all over the world. Today, the Rich Dad Company offers financial education courses as well as the services of coaches, mentors, and support for people's financial education. Our programs are especially important for anyone wanting to evolve out of the E and S quadrants and now going into the B and I quadrants. There is no guarantee that everyone will make it to the B and I quadrants, yet they will know how to access those quadrants if they want to. Change is not easy. For me, changing quadrants was not easy. It was hard work mentally, but more so emotionally and spiritually. Growing up in a family of highly educated employees in the E quadrant, I carried their values of education, job security, benefits, and government pension. In many ways, my family values made my transition extremely difficult. I had to shut out their warnings, concerns, and criticisms about becoming an entrepreneur and investor. Some of their values I had to discount were, but you have a job, but you're taking too many risks. What if you fail? Just go back to school and get your master's degree. Become a doctor. They make lots and lots of money. The rich are greedy. These are all things that he had to intentionally cut out of his life. And if people said it, he just had to look the other way and protect his vision, his ears, and his spiritual conscience. And he continues, there's more actually. He says, why is money so important to you? Money won't make you happy. Just live below your means. Play it safe. Don't go for your dreams. That's what he's talking about here. Those are all little things that you might hear on a day-to-day basis, and you think that they're normal things in life because maybe your parents or your grandparents or your friends or family, they speak it on a regular basis, but they're just diminishing your dreams. They're diminishing the value that you bring to the world. So anyways, it's just really, really powerful that he had to learn that extremely quick. And the most important thing is that he was able to identify that language and repel it immediately. So now he's really focused and intentional on what is actually going to make him money, which is his primary goal. And then two, keep him focused, because sometimes when you're on that grind to go up, you are the only one that has your back. You're the only one that can actually rise to the occasion, and you're the only one that can actually take yourself there. No one else will. So with that in mind, let's get into the next one. Diet and exercise. I mentioned emotional and spiritual development because that is what it takes to make a permanent change in life. For example, it rarely works to tell an overweight person, just eat less and exercise more. Diet and exercise make sense mentally, but most people who are overweight do not eat because they are hungry. They eat to feed an emptiness in their emotions and their soul. When a person goes on a diet and exercise program, they are only working on their mind and their body without emotional development and spiritual strength. The overweight person may go on a diet for 6 months and lose a ton of weight, but they will eventually put the weight back on because there was no emotional connection there. The same is true for changing your quadrants. Saying to yourself, I'm going to become an entrepreneur in the B quadrant is is futile as a chain smoker saying, tomorrow I'm going to quit smoking. Smoking is a physical addiction caused by emotional and spiritual challenges. Without emotional and spiritual support, the smoker will always be a smoker. The same is true for an alcoholic or a sex addict or a chronic shopper. Most addictions are attempts to find happiness in people's souls. This is why my company offers courses for the mind and body, but also coaches and mentors to support the emotional and spiritual transitions of people. A few people are able to make the journey alone, but I was not one of them. If not for a coach like my rich dad and the support of my wife, Kim, I could not have made it. There were so many times I wanted to quit and give up. If it wasn't for Kim and my rich dad, I would have quit already. That was strong. Shout out to Kim. Kim is cool. Then he goes into why A students, A students getting A's in their grades, why A students actually fail. Looking at the diagram once again, it is easy to see why so many A students fail in the world of money. A person may be highly educated mentally, but if they are not educated emotionally, their fear will often stop their mind, their body from doing what it must do. That is why so many A students get stuck in analysis paralysis, studying every little detail, but failing to do anything. This analysis paralysis is caused by our educational system, punishing students for making mistakes. If you think about it, A students are A students simply because they made the fewest mistakes. The problem with the emotional psychosis is that in the real world, people who take action are the ones who make the most mistakes and learn from them to win in the game of life. Just look at Presidents Clinton and Bush. Clinton could not admit he had sex, and Bush could not recall any mistakes he made during his presidency. Making mistakes is human, but lying about your mistakes is criminal, a criminal act known as perjury. When criticized for making 1,014 mistakes before creating the electric light bulb. Thomas Edison said, "I did not fail 1,014 times. I successfully found out what did not work 1,014 times." In other words, the reason so many people fail to achieve success is because they fail to fail enough times. Looking at the diagram again, and then he's going into this diagram. Okay. One of the reasons so many people cling to job security is because they lack emotional education. They let fear stop them. One of the best things about military school and the Marine Corps is these organizations spend a lot of time developing young men and women spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Although it was tough, it was a complete education, preparing us to do a very nasty job. The reason I created Cashflow Game is because the game educates the whole person. The game is a better teaching tool than reading or lecture, simply because the game involves the body, mind, emotions, and spirit of the player. The game is designed for players to make as many mistakes as possible with play money and then learn from those mistakes. To me, this is a more humane way to learn about money. I agree, Robert. The path is the goal, he says. Today, there are thousands of cash flow clubs all over the world. One of the reasons why cash flow clubs are important is because they are a shelter from the storm, a way station on the path of life. By joining a cash flow club, you get to meet people like you, people who are committed to making change, not just talking about change. Unlike school, there is not a requirement of past academic success. All that is asked is a sincere desire to help, learn, and make change. In the game, you will make a lot of mistakes in different financial situations and will learn from your mistakes using play money. Cash flow clubs are not for those who want to get rich quick. Cash flow clubs are there to support the long-term mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial changes a person needs to go through. We all change and evolve at different rates of speed, so you are encouraged to go at your own speed. After playing the game with others a few times, you will have a better idea of what your next step should be and which of the 4 asset classes, business, real estate, paper assets, or commodities, is best for you. So in conclusion, this is in the preface of this book. He mentions, in conclusion, finding one's path is not necessarily easy. Even today, I do not really know if I am on my path or not. As you know, we all get lost at times, and it was not always easy to find our way back. If you feel you are not in the right quadrant for you, or you are not on your life's path, I encourage you to search your heart and find your life path. You may know it is time for change if you are saying things like the following statements. So if you catch yourself saying these things, it's time that you acknowledge, hey, I'm not in the right path. And he mentions a couple. I'm working with dead people. I love what I do, but I wish I could make more money. I can't wait for the weekend. I want to do my own thing. Is it quitting time yet? That's funny. He mentions, my sister is a Buddhist nun. Wow, didn't know that. Her path is to support the Dalai Lama, a path that pays nothing. Yet, although she earns little, it does not mean she has to be a poor nun. She has her own rental property and investments in gold and silver. Her strength of spirit and her financial educated mind allow her to follow her life's path without taking a vow of poverty. Her strength and spirit Her strength of spirit and her financially educated mind allow her to follow her life's path without taking a vow of poverty. That is such a strong line. In many ways, it was a good thing I was labeled stupid in school. Although emotionally painful, the pain allowed me to find my life's path as a teacher. And like my sister, the nun, just because I am a teacher does not mean I have to be a poor teacher. Repeating what Thich Nhat Hanh said, the Vietnamese monk, the path is the goal. Strong preface, super pumped to get into this cash flow quadrant. That was the preface of this book. And honestly, I highlighted some really, really powerful sentences. By far, my favorite one was actually the last one that we just read. Her strength of spirit and her financially educated mind allow her to follow her life's path without taking a vow of poverty. That is so strong. And I absolutely love that, because you can be a nun, you can be a teacher, you can be planting sunflowers all day long, okay? But if you choose to not educate your mind about financial education, and you choose not to take advantage of the opportunities that are in the present day, that is your choice. And that is your choice to make a vow of poverty and to go in that direction. So I'm so excited to dive into the introduction in the next video, because we're going to get into it. And I feel like this book is going to be extremely tactical. Okay. Unlike the original book, the first one, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I feel like this particular book is going to be extremely tactical, and we're going to be going into extreme, unique ideas and situations that Robert's going to, unravel for us. So I'm super pumped about that. I'm so excited to actually share this with you. If you haven't liked or commented or subscribed, please do that right now to support not only yourself in this growth and the development of your journey in life, but also it's a reflection of you. If you like something, like it. If you subscribe to something, subscribe to it. Like, have the conviction to make that decision, and don't allow other people to stop you from achieving what you want. Essentially, that is your life's purpose. That is your life path, is to have conviction in what you want and go after it without anybody's, belief that you can't. At the end of the day, you have choices. So I'm so excited to dive into it. And if you haven't joined the Billionaire Inner Circle, highly encourage you to do so. We are there every single week, having these amazing weekly recap sessions where we actually dive deeper into all this. And as I mentioned all the time, yes, you can purchase an audiobook and you can listen to it while you're on the treadmill, you're working on something or life. But the most important thing is to actually discuss it, to reflect on it, to take notes, to really dig deeper and share it with others. That is how everything really, really does stick, and how your life just moves a lot different. So I'm so excited for you. I'm so pumped for this amazing journey that's coming. And this is a brand new month. So I'm really pumped about what's about to happen. So without further ado, have a blessed and beautiful day, and talk to you soon. See ya.